Economic predictions for 2023. If the last couple of years is anything to go by, literally anything could happen in the next 12 months. In 2022, we saw a pandemic, we saw wars, we saw tech stocks getting smashed, inflation, and skyrocketing interest rates. Given all that, I'm still going to do this video and make some predictions about the economy in 2023. Before I get into that, I better let you know what I'm going to do is later on in the year, I'm going to do another video which reviews these predictions just to see what I got right and where I totally failed. So here's my predictions in a nutshell. Stock markets are going to crash, property markets will drop, inflation will fall through the floor, and interest rates will drop. Stick around because at the end of the video, I'm going to show you how I think the powers that be may try and unwind and get us out of this economic mess that we find ourselves in 2022. Okay, let's address these predictions one by one. Firstly, the stock markets will crash. I don't think it'd be any surprise to anyone if we continue to see drops in these markets. Inflation affects everything, businesses as well, and these rising costs is going to hamper the ability for companies to turn a profit. The lower the expected profit means the less valuable these stocks are. I mean, we're seeing all these large US tech companies laying off employees like it's going out of fashion over the last few months. How bad will it be? I don't know, but I get the feeling that it will be worse than what people think it is. And if it gets to a particular point where governments are worried about the mass job losses and rising unemployment, then they'll step in and help. That seems a fair way away right now, given that unemployment is pretty much at record lows, but I'm not writing it off. Narratives have a funny way of changing very quickly in the world we're living in. The next prediction is property markets will drop. It's no secret that low home loan interest rates fueled the last leg of the housing boom. From there, it's easy to figure out that higher interest rates will make the market drop, and we're starting to see that now. Borrowing capacity has dropped by 30 or 40%, which simply means that on the aggregate level, less money is going into the property market. I know there's different individual markets throughout Australia, but here in suburban Melbourne, it feels like the discounting of properties on market is only just getting started. How much it drops is going to depend on how long it takes for the stock markets to crash and unemployment to start increasing. The wealth effect is the notion that when households become richer as a result of a rise in asset values such as corporate stock prices or home values, they spend more and stimulate the broader economy. Basically, when your house goes up more, you feel richer, therefore you spend much more. That's going the other way at the moment, and the fact that home prices are dropping combined with the inflation and higher interest rates means that consumers will start curbing their spending. Less spending means less profit for businesses, which directly impacts the stock market. Next one, inflation will fall through the floor. Two things that underpin my point here is that number one, there has been less money created through stimulus. If you remember the pandemic, we printed a lot of money to support the economy. Number two is there's less money created through debt because of the raising of interest rates. Not a lot of people are aware that whenever you go to bank to borrow money, say for a home, for example, to buy a house, 95% of that money, 99% of that money is just created money. So if the interest rates go up, less money is created. Inflation is a very nuanced issue, and there are a lot of smart people on different sides of this argument. I'm not that smart, so I'm just going to keep it simple here. Inflation is measured year on year. It went up largely because we printed 20 to 30% of the money supply via the stimulus and then helped it along with dropping interest rates, which allowed people to borrow more. Now we are going in the opposite direction. So to me, it makes sense that inflation will come down. Interest rates will drop. To some, that might be a bit of a surprise. To others, it may not be such a surprise as it's gone up so much in 2022. On this one, I'm not 100% sure on it because central banks are probably going to try and keep the rates higher to try and avoid getting in another inflationary period. For the purpose of this video, I'm just going to go and get off the fence and say that central banks will be forced to drop rates as investors flood back to the safety of bonds. As I said at the start of the episode, I'll be doing a review of this video and the predictions later on in the year to see what I nailed and what I failed, so subscribe to the channel to keep updated. I think central banks are potentially going to keep interest rates higher despite inflation falling by more. This is going to be tricky, but I think they will want to avoid dropping rates too low and having asset prices skyrocket again. Obviously, if they don't drop the interest rates by enough, then people will start selling their properties because they won't be able to afford the loan repayments. They don't want asset prices to go too low either because the negative wealth effect will kick in again. Essentially what I'm saying is the central banks are going to try and find a Goldilocks zone for interest rates. At the same time, they may come to an agreement, so to speak, with the government that federal government will provide more stimulus to the economy, and over a period of years they'll try and boost wages higher so that the debt burdens become more affordable. If they do this, I don't think it's going to work, simply because in the pandemic 20 to 30% of the money supply was printed, and all it did was mean that we got inflation which went up faster than what wages did. All it did was make us all a little bit poorer. Overall, I think the nature of governments and central banks has been one that they can control much more than what they actually can. Rather than tweaking knobs and dialing things in, our leaders have either been flooring the accelerator or the brakes on interest rates. I think the ability for the central bank to find a Goldilocks zone for interest rates is one that I'll be highly skeptical of. Unfortunately, we're going through a moment in time that I think will end badly. For me, I'm no financial advisor, so guys, take that as your disclaimer. I just want to buy assets and not get into too much debt because the volatility of our government could lead to more interest rate volatility. If that's of interest to you, I suggest you take a look at the video I did about the housing bubble. Comments are really valued, guys, even if you disagree with some of the points made. So leave them below. Till next time.